The rain wouldn't stop. It had been falling for hours, tapping against the old roof like it was trying to break in. Inside the tiny house, the only sounds were the crackle of stale air and a soft sobbing behind a locked door. Please, Cack, please just open the door, Upin whispered, his forehead resting against the wood. We didn't mean it, Upin added, his voice trembling. We didn't mean to mess up the cake. We were just trying to help. No response, just more crying. Behind that door, their older sister, Lena, was curled up in a corner, fists clenched, eyes red and raw. The room smelled of burnt sugar and shattered expectations. On the floor beside her was what remained of a birthday cake, now a collapsed pile of flour and ruined icing. It wasn't the cake that made her cry. It was everything else. I can't do this anymore, she whispered. To no one. Every day feels like punishment. Her eyes glanced to a framed photo on her dresser, their mother, smiling, radiant, holding all three of them. It was the last photo before everything changed. She stood up suddenly and shouted toward the door. You don't get it. Every time I see you two, it's like I'm being haunted. There was a pause. You don't mean that. Ippen's voice broke. But she did, or at least part of her did, and part of her hated herself for feeling that way. Later that night, the boys sat on the couch in the dim living room, knees pulled to their chests, listening to the quiet ticking of the old clock. Lina still hadn't come out. She never ate the ruined cake. She didn't even scold them. That silence hurt more than any shouting. I just wish we could go back, Upin murmured, to when Mama was still here. It'd been finished. Their thoughts always aligned. Lina, behind her door, heard them, and for the first time that day, her anger faltered. A hollow ache replaced it, a guilt that had festered for years. When their mother passed away during childbirth, Lina was only 12, too young to be a parent, too old to be a child. The twins were born premature, fragile, but they lived, and their mother didn't. No one ever said it outright, but she saw the looks, the whispers, the way her grandmother flinched every time she looked at the boys. It should have been one of them, someone once muttered at a funeral, not her. Lina internalized it, let it grow inside her like a vine, wrapping around her heart until all she saw in her brothers were the shadows of what she lost. That morning, Lina stepped outside before the twins woke. The storm had passed, but the sky remained gray, as if unsure whether to forgive the earth just yet. She wandered down the quiet road, shoes wet from puddles, jacket too thin for the chill. She didn't know where she was going, just every birthday, every holiday, every smile from the boys, it felt like betrayal, like they were celebrating over a grave. And every time they called her Cocklina, she felt like a fraud, pretending to be strong. She sat on a bench by the park and pulled out her phone. No missed calls, no texts, just a blurry photo of her mother holding two newborns, smiling despite the tubes in her arms. Back at home, the twins panicked when they couldn't find her. See, she didn't even leave a note, Upin said. She's never gone without her bag, Upin added, holding it up. They checked every room, every closet. They even called out into the backyard as if she might be hiding behind the swing set, like when they played hide and seek as kids. She left us, Upin whispered. She really left us. But just as panic began to set in, something strange happened. The lights flickered. The air went still. In a soft voice, their mother's voice, echoed in the hallway. Protect each other, love without blame. The boys froze. Did you hear that? The Upin asked. Upin nodded slowly. That was Mama. Lina felt it too. At the park, a breeze swept through the trees, and she heard the same words carried on the wind. She turned, heart pounding, and for a brief moment, she saw her, their mother, sit on a swing, smiling. I can't, Lina whispered. You already are, the vision said gently. Even when you're angry, even when it hurts. You stayed. You tried. Tears spilled down Lina's cheeks. I hated them. I told myself they were the reason you're gone. They're the reason I stayed as long as I could. The vision faded and the wind returned to normal. But something inside Lina shifted. By afternoon, she came home. The boys were still sitting by the front door, bundled in blankets, eyes puffy. When she stepped inside, they looked up like they were seeing a ghost. Lina opened her mouth, but nothing came out. So she just dropped to her knees and pulled them both into a hug. I'm sorry, she finally managed. I was never supposed to be your mom, but I didn't know how to be your sister either. You were both, Upin mumbled. And we love you anyway, Upin added. The hug lasted a long time. It wasn't perfect. Nothing had been perfect in a long time, but it was real. And it was enough. But peace doesn't last forever. That night, Lina heard something odd from the basement, like a hum, mechanical and wrong. She grabbed a flashlight and tiptoed down. What she found was beyond comprehension. A hidden door, marked with a strange SPRUNKI symbol. Inside was a chair, wires, a flickering screen, and a file labeled Clone Probla 2, a memory enhancement testing. Subject, Upin. Her scream woke the boys. In the days that followed, chaos erupted. Upin started glitching, forgetting memories, repeating words. Upin had nightmares of being watched. Lena became obsessed with uncovering the truth. Their lives spiraled into a bizarre unraveling of identity. Who built the machine? Why was Upin listed as a subject? Were they ever real? And just as these questions piled up, another one exploded into their life. A girl wearing Upin's face. Hello, brother, she said with a twisted smile. Time to trade places. Lina froze, flashlight shaking in her grip. Upin stood protectively in front of Upin, who looked just as confused as everyone else. The girl with Upin's face stepped forward, lips curled into a confident smirk, but her eyes, they were hollow, cold, synthetic. You're not my brother, Lina growled, stepping between them. The clone cocked her head. Of course I'm not. I'm better. Upin blinked, trembling. Who are you? To be, the girl said, placing a hand on her chest. I was created to replace you, but the original survived. You weren't supposed to. Lina glanced back at the boys. This has something to do with that machine in the basement? I was born from your resentment, To Be whispered, voice eerily soft now. Your wish to erase the pain, to have perfect siblings who didn't come with guilt. They heard you and built me. Upin shook his head. We never asked for this. No, To Be admitted, but she did. All eyes turned to Lina. She staggered back, hand over her mouth. No, I didn't mean that night. I was just angry. The clone's voice hardened, and anger makes monsters. That night, the house became a war zone of emotions and confusion. To Be activated parts of the old lab beneath their home, revealing hidden rooms filled with machinery, all humming with raw, sprunky tech, powered by music, grief, and unresolved hatred. I was never supposed to feel, To Be said, her voice echoing from all sides. But somehow, I do. I feel cold, alone, rejected. You gave me life, Lina. You just didn't stay long enough to raise me. You're not my sister, Lina whispered. You're a reflection of my worst moment. And yet you look at me and flinch, just like you flinched at him. Upin stepped forward gently. You don't have to do this. Don't tell me what I have to do. To Be screamed, and the walls cracked. The machine surged. The lights exploded in a strobe of reds and whites. A copy of Upin's voice began to echo through the room, distorted, glitched, twisted into a cry for help. They tried to escape, but To Be caught them in a chamber that altered gravity. They floated, flipped, and were pinned to the walls by artificial sound waves. You will feel what I felt, she hissed. Abandoned, misunderstood, alone. Lina, barely able to breathe, forced herself to reach her heart, not physically, but emotionally. This isn't you, she said. You're not just code, you're not just anger. You're me, the part of me I wanted to forget. To Be blinked. Lina kept going. But if I can forgive them, maybe I can forgive you too? The chamber went quiet. The hume dropped in pitch, and for a split second, To Be looked like a scared little girl. I just wanted someone to choose me, she whispered. Upin held out his hand. Then stay, be part of us. No more copies, no more punishment. To Be reached out and collapsed. Her body began to flicker, dissolving into scattered musical notes. Wait, Lina cried. But it was too late. All that remained was a single pendant. Inside it, a photo of the twins, and Lina, smiling. She picked it up, tears rolled down her cheeks. Upin stepped beside her. Do you think she could have really been happy? She just wanted what we all did, Lina said softly, to be loved without fear. Weeks passed. The house was repaired, but the memories remained. Lina no longer slept behind a locked door. Upin and Ipin no longer tiptoed around her moods. They cooked dinner together and burnt half of it, of course, but they laughed through it. One night, while folding laundry, Ipin found an old drawing under Lena's bed. It was from years ago, a crayon sketch of the three of them holding hands under a sun that had Mama written inside it. That weekend, Lina took them to the park. It was sunny, children ran, music played softly from someone's speaker, and for once, the world didn't feel heavy. Lina turned to them and said, "I can't promise I'll always get it right." Upin smiled. "Neither can we. But I'll never leave again," she added. "Good," Upin said, leaning on her shoulder, "because if you do, we're following you this time." And then came the wind. Warm, soft, familiar. It brushed against their cheeks and carried a whisper only they could hear. "I'm proud of you." They turned, but no one was there. Just the sun shining a little brighter and the sound of a song they didn't realize they'd been writing all along. Together,